Florida Governor Ron DeSantis now faces a string of major legal battles over his horrific use of migrants as political pawns. This week, Democratic State Senator Jason Pizzo of Miami filed a lawsuit against a judge to block DeSantis from spending any more state funds on migrant transports. Now, this comes after a group of migrants who were sent to Martha's Vineyard filed a class action lawsuit claiming they were victims of fraud for political purposes. And the Bexar County, Texas Sheriff's Office announced it is opening a criminal investigation into that transport of migrants from San Antonio to Martha's Vineyard. This week, NBC News reported that another transport flight was scheduled to bring migrants from Texas to President Biden's home state of Delaware. That flight never happened. Someone familiar with the governor's thinking said DeSantis, quote, purposefully left people in the dark. So technically, the media, the Democrats, everyone got punked. But here's the thing. A flight was scheduled at some point because, according to the Miami Herald, a group of migrants were left stranded at a remote hotel outside San Antonio when that flight was canceled. So everyone got punked, but the migrants, once again, they had to suffer the consequences of the cruelty of Ron DeSantis. But then again, cruelty is his point. Joining me now is Andrew Warren, the duly elected state attorney for Hillsborough County, Florida. He was suspended by Ron DeSantis for defying the state's abortion ban. Andrew, it's great to have you with us. Thank you so much for making time for us this evening. Your reaction to, I guess, the overall way Ron DeSantis has been treating these migrants from the start up until now, the different excuses and the rationales him and his cronies have been trying to come up with to try and justify this cruelty.
Look, there are a lot of allegations out there, and there have been a lot of incidents that are, at best political stunts, and at worst, crimes may have been committed. It's important that we have a search for the truth here to make sure that all the facts come out. And the best way to find the truth is in a court of law, not in a campaign rally, not where the governor can just, go on Fox News and say whatever he wants, but in a court of law. So it's good that we have court cases that have been filed. We have our case going to court against the governor now, where he's going to have to stand trial for violating the rights of Floridians with regard to my suspension.
Do you think, based on your understanding of the law, or let me ask it this way, which out of the legal cases, based on your understanding of the law, has the greatest chance of holding Ron DeSantis accountable?
Well, there are a few cases potentially out there, and it's hard to really speculate because some have just been filed. We don't know the facts yet. Our case, this past Monday, the judge set for trial. And this was a victory for the truth because now the governor has to come into court and explain, in a court of law, why what he did, why the suspension didn't break the law, didn't violate people's constitutional rights, didn't violate the will of the voters to have the state attorney of their choice. So we're glad that our case is far along and that we're going to be at a trial soon. And we hope that in these other political stunts, these other incidents, that the truth comes out there as well, because the people have a right to know.
Can I just, before I get to your trial, which I do want to talk about, I just want to button this up really quickly about the migrants. This flight that was canceled this week. Do you think DeSantis really wanted to punk the media? Do you think he was just doing this as a stunt, or do you think that there was something more sinister there, but given how much heat has been applied to him legally and politically and publicly, he backed away from it?
Yeah, again, it's really hard to speculate. And as a prosecutor, I don't want to just throw out allegations without having evidence to back it up.
Right.
The conduct is certainly concerning, right? And that's why people are asking questions as they should be. I tell you what, the bigger issue here is, when did it become okay in this country that the people stopped demanding that elected officials start acting like leaders and acting like diplomats and acting like role models for our kids? I mean, we have people acting like demagogues and carnival barkers out there now, not trying to solve problems, not even proposing solutions, just trying to conduct these stunts to draw attention to themselves that don't do anything to move our country forward.
Let's shift to your lawsuit for a moment. You brought it up, and we did want to talk to you about it. As you mentioned, Governor DeSantis suspended you in part because you refused to enforce the state's abortion ban. As you mentioned, this week, a Florida judge moved to schedule a trial First of all, tell me what happens next in your lawsuit. What is the legal basis of the argument that you are putting forward that the judge has agreed with and ordered a trial for?
Sure. I mean, this is a pretty clear-cut case. The governor isn't allowed to suspend an elected official because he doesn't like, what they say or who they are or how they're doing their job. And let's be clear. I mean, I've done my job. I've done it well. And most importantly, I've done it in the way that the voters of Hillsborough County, where I live and work, want me to do it. This is because I spoke out. I stood up for abortion rights. I stood up for the rights of transgender Floridians. These are two issues that the governor just disagrees with me on. And his response was to suspend me. So that's why we're going to court on this. In terms of the next steps, the court indicated, well, the governor tried to have the case thrown out, and the court said, not so fast, my friend. Instead, we're going to go to trial on this because the people deserve the truth. A trial date hasn't been set yet. We expect it to be set probably sometime next week after the parties have a chance to get back to the court to talk about the deadlines and those things. People can stay tuned at andrewwarrenfl.com as to what's happening on this. But at the end of the day, we know this. We're going to court, and we're going to have the governor come in and have to explain himself to the people of Florida.
Yeah, it's a troubling sign when elected officials are removed by other officials in the state just because, as you were saying, they may disagree with them over policy. Andrew Warren, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for making time for this evening.